Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Radhe Sham Prabhu Ki Jai Hare Krishna Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Canto 2, Chapter 5, Text 31. दिखाई देते Taijasat tu vikurvanat Indriyani dasha abhavan jnana shaktihi kriya shaktihi buddhihi pranaha cha taijasau shrotram tvak gharna drik jivaha vak doho medhra angri payavaha taijasatu vikurvanad Indriyani dasha bhavan Jnana shakti kriya shaktir Buddhi prana chataijaso Shrotrang tvagrana drig jiva Vagdo medhrang ripayavaha Taijasatu vikurvanad Indriyani dasha bhavan Jnana shakti kriya shaktir Buddhi pranas Chataijasau Shrotrang tvagrana drig jiva Vagdo medhrang gripayavaha Mataji's? Oh. Vagdomega Taijasat, by the passionate egoism, to but Vikurvanat, transformation of Indra-yajna, the senses, Dasha, 10, Abhavan, generated, Jnana, Shakti, the 5 senses for acquiring knowledge, Kriya Shakti, the 5 senses of activities, Buddhi, intelligence, Pranaha, the living energy, Cha, also, Taijasau, all products of the mode of passion, Shrotram, the sense for hearing, Tvak, the sense for touching, Grana, the sense for smelling, Drik, the sense for seeing, Jivaha, the sense for tasting, Vak, the sense for speaking, Doho, the sense for handling, Medha, the genitals, Angri, the legs, Payavaha, the sense for evacuating. Translation. By further transformation of the mode of passion, the sense organs like the ear, skin, nose, eyes, tongue, mouth, hands, genitals, legs, and the outlet for evacuating, together with intelligence and living energy, are all generated. Purport: the living condition in material existence depends more or less on one's intelligence and powerful living energy. Intelligence, to counteract the hard struggle for existence, is assisted by the senses for acquiring knowledge, and the living energy maintains himself by manipulating the active organs like the hands and legs. But on the whole, the struggle for existence is an exertion of the mode of passion. Therefore, all the sense organs headed by intelligence and the living energy, prana, are different products and byproducts of the second mode of nature called passion. This mode of passion, however, is the product of the air element as described before. Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalaka Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Shreshtham Manumapi Shakshiputram Atra Swarupam Rupam tasyagrajam urukrim maturim goshtavatim Radha kundam girivaramaho radhika madhavasham Prapto yasya pratita kritaya Shri Gurun Tamvatosmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shriyatah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tina Smarane Hoy Vigna Vinashan Anayashe Hoy Nijavan Sita Puran Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This description of how the living beings acquire their sensual functions is very different from what we all learned at school. Of course, in the schools they don't teach exactly how we acquired the sensual functions, but the general idea is given that somehow or other everything evolved, and here we all are, scientifically. It's a great mystery for those who accept the so-called scientific method, ascending method of acquiring knowledge. If we just look at our situation and trying to examine it, we can maybe discover something, but not everything. And even if we discover so many things about the apparently expanding universe and the laws of nature, scientific laws, we still can't understand why it's all here. And therefore, some people conclude that everything is meaningless. The atheistic position philosophically has to come to meaninglessness. We see there are big atheists in the world who are intent on propagating atheism. Why? Why bother? What's the point? If we are just, we living beings are just a speck, a blip in time, just some chemical combination existing for a blip of time. What does it matter about anything? Richard Dawkins wrote his latest book. What's it called? A Candle in the Darkness. It's his autobiography. It's all darkness, and he's come to bring a little light. That's his idea. But you have to come to meaninglessness. Here we have a different description, which is not easy to understand. I had this experience, and probably most of you do too, when reading these sections of the Bhagavatam in which is described how their creation. It's difficult to understand, maybe because of our so-called scientific training. But the important point here is that the various senses are given to the living beings by the Supreme Personality of Godhead via the mode of passion, which brings to mind a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Shotrang Chakshu Sparshanam Cha Rasanam Granam Evacha Adishtanang Manas Chaiva Vishayanupasevate. here in this 1.5 verses, more senses are mentioned. We have the word Indriya in Sanskrit, which approximately translates into the English sense, but not fully. It translates into the term Jnana Indriya, the senses for acquiring knowledge, but it's also used for the limbs which perform activities. So the Gita verse which I just mentioned, which describes the senses for acquiring knowledge, or for acquiring knowledge in the sense of experiencing the world, for having sensual perception. And what's it all for? Vishayanupasevate, for the sake of enjoying the interaction between the senses and the sense objects. And prior to this, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has also stated, Yehi sangsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonya evate adyantavanta kuntaya nateshu ramate buddhaha. Yeah, phones off please. Unwanted sensual input at this time. I don't want to hear that now, if at all, any time. The whole Bhagavad, well, from the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna speaks about the futility and foolishness of trying to enjoy the senses. In the verse which I just quoted, he states something which seems counterintuitive to every living being in material existence. Yehi sangsparshaja bhoga. Yes, sparsh here, you all know that. I was just thinking as we were going through this, reciting the Sanskrit verse, that many of the words, because you all speak Hindi or Telugu or some language largely derived from Sanskrit, then many of the words you know already. Maybe you don't know the words like Taijasat. I don't think that will come very commonly in Telugu or Hindi. Or Vikuravarnat, that won't come also. But Indriyani you can follow, the plural of Indriya. Dasha you can understand very well. What is it in Telugu? Oh, that's different. But you all, anyway, in Hyderabad everyone knows Hindi also. So, in original, better Telugu, it's derived from Sanskrit. Yeah, you'll know from Dashavata. You'll know from that, at least. And then if you read Srila Prabhupada's books in the way that he advises us to in the introduction to Bhagavatam, you'll go through the word-by-word meanings also. So by the time you get through, maybe not by the second canto if you're reading it for the first time, but if you come to abhavat, you'll know that that means, well, the translation is given here, generated, means has come into being. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhav. It's the same word we find, a very common word in the Sanskrit philosophical literature. Bhava means coming into being. So we can follow then jnana, shakti. The words jnana and shakti are very common, but exactly what jnana shakti means, when you put them together, that may not be understood immediately. For that we have to study Bhagavatam under some guidance. Jnana shakti, kriya shakti. In this sense, we have of course the energies of the Supreme Lord. Parasya shakti avividhaiva shruyate. we have the Lord has many energies. But here Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti are used in the sense of the ability of the living being to perceive, touching, tasting, smelling, feeling, hearing, and the ability of the living being to perform various activities. Not all of these senses exist for all living beings. For instance, snakes don't have legs. Trees don't have legs, they have leg. Well, maybe some trees, like the banyan tree. There's always Keshavatua Jagat Vichitra. It's very, very Vichitra, you also know the word, but in this sense it means variegated. It's variegated and difficult to understand. So it seems counterintuitive to the living being that the interaction of the senses with the sense objects is a cause of distress, because it seems like it should make us happy. What have you got for breakfast? Malpoa, halwa, puris. Sounds good. 3 days old khichdi. Not very good. It's all prasadam, Prabhu. If we invite people to, well, we do, at least in the Western countries, we used to do, have Sunday feast with the idea that he will come for nice food, because it's just taken for granted that the interaction of the senses with the sense objects in a manner that we like, well, that's what life's all about. That's the primary necessity of life. They think that to satisfy the senses up to that is the prime necessity of life. Kamo pabhoga parama. The demons think that to satisfy the senses is the real goal of life. But from the beginning of Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, that this is foolish. And he chastises Arjuna that you want to be happy by not fighting. What does he say? Nahang pashami shreyangsi grinatopi madhusudam. I don't see anything good here. But Krishna tells him it doesn't matter what you think is good, because what you think is good is not good. You got it all wrong. And it's hard to understand. Arjuna makes a very good case, especially not killing his relatives. It's not just sensual, that's dharmic. It becomes very complex when we consider dharma, what to do and what not to do, because the nature of this material world is that what should be done and what should not be done, they often the rules of dharma often conflict, and practically the whole Mahabharata is one dharma sankat, one after another. Not only the story of the Pandavas, but throughout it's instructive Mahabharata, inasmuch as we see again and again people in situations where this Stephen Covey used to speak of a win-win situation. But we have often, you probably never heard of it, it's just some other so-called guru who popped up for some time and is now forgotten. He spoke of we should deal with people in a win-win way. So I win, you win. Not that just I win, but we all win. Instead of fighting with each other, let's cooperate, and then we'll both win. And then he merged his company with another, what do they call them, motivational guru, and then they fought like anything together. And then he died. So anyway, the idea win-win, but often we find ourselves in lose-lose situations. Whatever we do, it looks bad. If Arjuna fights, that's not good. He's going to kill, he's going to have to attack, if not kill, his friends, family members, gurus, and even if they're enemies, they're husbands of women, and the women will be left unprotected. On the other hand, if he doesn't fight, he'll be letting down his brothers. So it's a lose-lose situation. What's the solution to all of this? Get drunk. That's what a lot of people do. It's depression. It's hard not to be depressed when everything is going against you. And take some intoxication and forget it. The only problem is that when you come out of the intoxication, the problem is still there. It doesn't go away. It's a mode of ignorance, non-solution. So what to do? Then Krishna advises the overall solution is spiritual. We have to come to another level of understanding. Understand that this whole world is miserable. And the whole endeavor to enjoy the interaction of the senses with the sense objects, notably, the senses are generated from the mode of passion. The mode of passion. In the mode of passion, the motive to enjoy the senses is very strong. It's not there in the mode of goodness. The mode of goodness starts, well, sattvat sanjayate jnanam, from the mode of goodness develops knowledge, but to gravitate toward the mode of goodness, to accept the mode of goodness lifestyle, there has to be some knowledge in the first place that simply living animalistically for the enjoyment of the senses is not how we should live our life. We should come to a higher platform, sense control. The mode of goodness isn't all just about living in the country and breathing fresh air. It's more to do with knowledge, discriminating the spirit from matter, and acting on that platform. So the endeavor for sense gratification is deliberately avoided in the mode of goodness. And in the mode of ignorance, because the mode of passion is also characterized by much activity, so that we get the active sense, the limbs, the legs and the arms, by which we do things, and the other active senses are for bodily functions, urinating, passing stool. So in the mode of ignorance, there's not much endeavor for anything. Capitulation into depression. Just living with no thinking. In the mode of goodness begins with the understanding that there's higher purpose of life than trying to enjoy the senses. Enjoying the senses seems to give happiness, but ultimately it produces distress. As Krishna again says in Bhagavad Gita. What is that verse? Vishayan? How does that begin? You're all saying at once, I can't hear it. No, not that one. In the 18th chapter. In mixing the senses. Yatana Mritopamam. Yeah. Vishayendriya Samyogam, that's it. The mixing of the senses, the bringing of the senses into contact with the sense objects. Vishayendriya Samyogam Yattad Agre Mritopamam Pariname Vishamiva tatsukam rajasam smritam. The mixing of the senses with the sense objects, you bring them together. Something looks nice, let's look. Something sounds nice, let's hear. And it seems just like nectar. But it transforms into poison. That happiness is in the mode of passion. So practically the whole first part of the Bhagavad Gita is very much based on this understanding that to indulge in sense enjoyment is foolish, it's against our real self-interest, and an intelligent person should not endeavor for sense enjoyment. And we may see that, well, there are so many very intelligent people who do endeavor for, and they're very dharmic also. I'm not just talking about mundane scientists and technologists, but high-class brahmanas, followers of dharma. They're performing sacrifices for going to the heavenly planets. But Krishna said that's also very foolish. It must be hard for Arjuna to hear this, because he was raised among brahmanas in his early age, in his childhood. And he's seen it all around him. That's the culture all around him. He's from the Kshatriya class, and the Kshatriyas, one of their duties, it's to, or you could say their whole dharma is based around protecting the people, making sure they're following their dharma, and then bringing the fruits of all their work together for offering in major sacrifices, which benefits the whole kingdom and helps to elevate everyone to the higher planets. And Krishna, right in the beginning of Gita, says that they're all fools. They don't know what they should really be doing. Arjuna had an idea to leave the battlefield and become some kind of yogi. And Krishna explained to him what is it like to be a yogi. And Arjuna said, I don't think I can do that. Seems to be too difficult. And then Krishna comes and twists the whole thing around and says, anyway, just be a devotee. And I already told you, you already know, you're already my devotee. So okay, let's start talking about the real important thing. And then Krishna begins chapter 7 by directly introducing topics of devotion. Now, what are we to understand from this? The senses are generated from the mode of passion. So what should we do? Like in the first part of the Gita, first 6 of chapters 2 to 6, Krishna talks a lot about just withdrawing the senses, not engaging them in sense enjoyment. But then Krishna gives that idea, that verse you were quoting, Vishaya Vinivartante Nirahasya Parasya Dehina, like starving, try to starve someone, Niraha, just starving someone. You're going to help them control their senses by starving them. Don't give food. There's one kind of Ayurvedic treatment, what's that called? Kuti Pravesh. You go in a dark room or a cave for 1 year or at least 1 month or at least 1 week. And there's no sensual stimulation whatsoever. It's completely dark. Can't hear anything. You can't speak to anyone. You just sit there for, it's actually meant to be minimum 1 month. It could be you have 1 year and you sit there. And once a day they bring you some milk from a special cow, and that's it. And I don't know what they do for evacuation. And must be some arrangement. And if you do that, then you're supposed to, an old man's body becomes like a young man's body. But who can do it? And anyway, you have to die, ultimately. But it's very difficult to do. Who can do that? Who's tried meditating? Probably all of us at some point have tried sitting down. Oh, I forgot. Okay, I'll just get up and do it. Okay, sit down again. You don't fall asleep then. If you can fall asleep, that's probably not doing too bad. At least you relaxed. You got some relaxation. Otherwise, chanchalam himana Krishna pramati balavadritam prasaham nigraham manye vayorivasuk. Trying to control the mind, like trying to control the wind. In other words, it's impossible. Krishna says it's not impossible, can be done, but better you engage yourself. Nicer. In Gita, various ways in which we can engage the senses in Krishna service, because simply by starving the senses, we feel we may have more desire. It's choking up the desire, but it doesn't remove it. That's why Indra, he often sends the dancing girls to tempt the yogis who are doing severe penances. It's considered a sure thing. Send the apsaras. If you send them to a king, it may not tempt him, because he's just like, what would you like for breakfast? Rasgula, puri, paneer sabji. If you have it every day, I know. It must have been 1977 in Radha Landaniswara Temple, central London. There was a court order that only a certain number of people could reside there. So actually the building wasn't meant residentially at all. It was an office building. If it was a residence, you could comfortably fit maximum 10 people there. We had about 80. One shower for the men. I won't say everything, but anyway, a few of us stayed for serving Radha Landaniswara till their new temple was prepared. So all we had to eat every day was Mahaprasadam. Sounds good? Just after a few days, it was so rich, you can understand a little bit what it means to be God. He's got good digestion. Start longing for some plain khichdi. All the preparations which we take to be something for our enjoyment, our ability to enjoy is very limited. So, stopping the activities of the senses, that may make us more greedy to enjoy. But then if we overload the senses, then we may not want to enjoy. That's the idea in tantric sadhana. One kind of tantric sadhana. You just have as much sex and everything, and then you get fed up of it. But it's only temporary. Either way, it's only temporary. If we starve the senses, then it doesn't cure the desire to enjoy them. And if we overload the senses and we get fed up of sense enjoyment, then it's just like, we probably all have that experience. We eat too much and You don't want to eat anything. You don't eat anything for maybe one day. And then again hunger comes and again you want to eat, because it's the innate desire to enjoy by which Krishna gives us the sense objects and the sense organs by which we can enjoy. And it's not the organs themselves or the sense objects, it's our innate desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. That has to be rectified. Otherwise, all means like yoga sadhana or tantra sadhana, they don't address the root problem, which is that senses are meant for the service of Krishna. That is bhakti, to engage the senses in the service of Krishna. Very simple definition of bhakti. Rishikesha, Rishikanam, Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. Very simple definition of bhakti. Krishnarthi Akila Cheshta. Everything should be done. Simple thing to understand. We are not the body. We are falsely identifying with the body, suffering while trying to enjoy. So what's the solution? Stop trying to enjoy. Well, that doesn't work. So we have to come, and we can do that by especially by the Pancharatric system. We can immediately come to our constitutional position of using the senses in Krishna's service. And we immediately come to the transcendental platform, at least in our activity. The mind has to be Bhagavatam, because all the senses are grouped around the mind. Sparshan Chakshus, Shotang Chakshus, Sparshan Rasnam, Grana, Evita, Adhishta. All this manas type, all the senses of mind. The mind is functioning according to the intelligence which comes from the false ego of thinking, I am an enjoyer of this world. So this topics of Bhagavatam help us to correct that wrong understanding, and at the same time engaging in Krishna's service practically. And this is the curing process of the disease of repeated birth and death. And then when we are fully accustomed to and fully willing to engage our ear, skin, nose, eyes, tongue, mouth, hands, genitals, legs, and evacuating outlet only in the service of Krishna, Bhagavatam is directing us towards. So now the book marathon is coming up. Actually, in some ways, I don't approve of this book marathon. How about that? Didn't expect to hear that, did you? What do you think of that? Yeah, that's right. Think that you'll only distribute books in December. Go on. Stop. Have a day off now and then for filling up on delicious prasadam. And then, yeah, go on distributing books. Good scope, no doubt. Hyderabad is one of the best cities in the world for distributing books. Yeah, you can say Hari Bol, but you have to go out and distribute the books. It's not that you say Hari Bol and everyone's going to come running in saying, here's the money, give me the set. You have to go out and do the work. But India is the best place for Krishna consciousness. some parts people are more pious than others. It's mixed. I find there's a generally religious disposition among the Telugu people. But then again, most of them eat meat. So it's mixed. But at least they can take books. And Hyderabad, being a large city, prosperous, the money here, so many books. Sets of books also. Don't neglect the other books. There's a big push for distributing Bhagavatam, but don't forget the other book. We also need to. The best thing is distribute full set. Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada Lilamrita, Gita, Krishna book, and all the small books. And then you can throw in some others also. You can do. Yesterday I saw the packet of chips yesterday, the day before, a packet of chips being sold for 100 rupees. No one's, what is this, 100 rupees? You used to be able to go from Bombay to Howrah on the train for quite a lot less than that. How much does it cost now? I mean, sleeper class, probably, how much, 2,000 rupees? I don't know. So anyway, money is there. Bhagavatam said, depending on the language and depending on the temple that's selling, it will be about 8,000 rupees, something like that. And people are buying phones, at least one phone for every member of the family. One temple I came in, again, that was 2 nights ago, and there's a little girl just sitting there, there's big kirtan going on as I'm coming in, and she's completely oblivious to it all. She's only about 5 years old, just looking at the phone. So everyone's got a phone. Give them a Bhagavatam set, and don't neglect the other books. Give the other books also. If they're open to it, you don't even have to tell them. You just add on the price of the Chaitanya Charitamrita and throw it in. You don't even have to tell them. It's not that much more. Just some ideas. I'm sure you all have plenty of ideas. But idea this, idea that, you have to go out and do the work. And Radhe Shyam Prabhu is leading the way by personal example, distributing so many Bhagavatam sets. You can all be like him. If you can all be like him, then your life is successful. Distribute books. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Finished unless anyone has any question or comment. Question? Question from you.
Maharaja,
Last time I was here, someone told me that, what was that, Ramchandra has the same qualities as Krishna. And I said, who said that? And they said you, but it wasn't you. Something like that.
I replied to you.
I can't remember exactly.
I only distribute the Bhagavatam sets, but Sitaram Prabhu and the team of devotees here, they have a bus which goes out every day, 5-6 hours, sometimes even more.
Yeah.
And throughout the year they do.
Great. Jai.
This temple, Athapa temple, stands for Sankirtan.
Jai. Books are the basis.
For bringing out some very valuable practical point from this sloka and our purport today. Very nice. Thank you. Now, I had a question. You are making the Salem temple, I've heard a stone temple and without electricity. I think it is somewhat like similar to what you said, cave, without any access to that.
Well, there'll be lights, deepams, traditional deepams. Yeah.
So, when nowadays students are living in the city, at every moment practically the mind and the senses which come in contact with the sense objects, mind becomes fickle, senses become impure. and they're constantly agitated.
Constant.
So I heard that the agitated mind and senses become weak over a period of time, and they become practically unqualified to absorb spiritual subject matter. So many students who write emails to me or ask questions in the classes, they ask, before acquiring that higher taste, param drishtva. So in the stage below that, what are some of the pointers or tips that you would like to suggest, where one living in this kind of scenario in the city life, they can keep their mind and senses focused in spiritual subject matter without rendering them more and more weaker by contact with objects?
How do you do it? Well, the simple answer is don't. You don't have to keep your head in your phone all the time. For instance, we do have some level of choice, but then again we find ourselves very weak. And the generic answer to what is a generic question of how do we do this? How do I become sincere? How do I control the senses? How do I become humble? The standard answer to all such questions is seek the association of those who have those qualities. And then by associating with them and simply by being with them, that will help you to acquire the same qualities. Otherwise, you know what, a generation ago we thought that our generation is lost. And a generation previous to that, they thought the same. It's getting worse all the time, no doubt. It's amazing that anyone's coming to spiritual life at all. If you consider that we are how many generations down the line of Varna Sankara? Somewhere, coming from a Western background, we're not even Varna Sankara. We're just barbarians, that's all. But most of you have come from families with Gotras, and maybe some of you don't even know what Gotra you're born in, I don't know. But at some point they stopped following the children become Varna Sankara, and then children of Varna Sankara, and then children of those, and it becomes worse and worse generation by generation. And then Kali Yuga, Tataschanu, then Dharma Satyam Shokcham Shamadaya Kalena Balina Rajan Nangshandaya Balang Smitihi. By the influence of Kali Yuga, all good qualities day by day are being reduced. And then if we consider the whole society around us is just bombarding us with highly degrading input all the time, and the whole culture is so messed up that people think that there's nothing more to do than work hard and get money. And all vestiges of human civilization, that instead of having men and women some healthy separation, instead they encourage, put them all together, and this feminism promoting that women should be like men and men should be like women, completely messing up everything. And on top of that, we're breathing in poison, we drink poison in the water and plastic and everything poison. That all affects our brain functions, and it's amazing that anyone's coming to spiritual life at all. It's really Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. Otherwise, we would expect the situation to be like at the end of Kali Yuga, where people are eating each other. It's almost, I'd not say it too loud, someone thought, well, we didn't try that yet. It's so bad. Cow killing is going on rampantly. Abortion. There's still a few people in India who protest against cow killing. Not the government. Don't say it too loud. But abortion, no one cares. Highly sinful. It's going on all around us. No one cares. Not only they not care, but they think it's a very good thing. And then abortion and contraception. also very sinful. Artificial contraception, promoting illicit sex. Whole atmosphere is so saturated with sinfulness. It's amazing anyone's taking to spiritual life at all. There's still some hope. There's good hope. If someone's asking you the question, how do I control the mind in this situation? That's a great start. You can tell them that even asking this question is a very good start, because hardly anyone thinks that the first thing in counteracting the disease is to understand I'm diseased and I need to do something to become healthy. If I go on in the same way, I'm going to be more sick. So it's a very good start. You can tell them that. I'm sure you do. What do you say to them?
Is to throw away the smartphone and take a button phone. That's one of the first things I tell them.
They still make them, or you can buy them
Still,
second hand.
Still it is available in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Or put parental control for the computer and the phone. That's one of the first things I tell them.
I never had a cell phone, ever. You remember when they first came out, it was a prestigious thing to have one. So many people wanted to give me a phone. I said, no, I'm not going to have it. Never had one. It was something intelligent I did in my life. Of course, I have assistants with me. And then, practically, it's considered a necessity in the modern age. And they're making it like that, right? The government with their Aadhaar card and voting and everything is all connected with your phone. We're all robots. Now they're making robots to do everything. We don't need people anymore. E-generation, generated from a computer. They're just an artificial existence. You won't be able to tell the difference between robots and humans. Practically you can't anyway. I think that whenever I go on a flight like yesterday, the check-in staff, what do they call the stewardesses, the hostess, they're all just like robots. I was thinking yesterday to ask them, are you a real human being? Just like robots. Thank you for flying on Indigo. People who are flying, they're just, these are all the successful people. They can afford to fly, and they're just like wooden puppets or something. I guess that's why people like to watch cartoons. At least you can imagine that there's some kind of life in some kind of figure, because we don't find around us. Just people are just more and more zombie-like as they descend from the mode of passion to the depths of Tamo Guna. So catch them while you can. Give them a book. Give them prasadam. Ask them to chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yeah, tell them.
Hare Krishna. So we just learned from Maharaj how by misidentification with this material body, we take sense gratification to be natural. It just seems, we should do it. That would give us pleasure. But we have to come to the platform of engaging our senses 24/7 in Krishna's service. And Maharaj has been giving lectures for last 40 years. Just dealing with the sense gratification, there are more than 1,100 lectures actually. And there are more than 7,500 lectures dealing with Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Vishnu Sahasranam, entire series of lectures, all the names commented upon. It's complete, it's available. So all these lectures we have put together in an app, Bhakti Vikasa Swami app. It's a free app available for all platforms. It's highly rated. Thousands of devotees are using it and taking benefit from it. So please get it. We'll give these cards to you. And we have designed this app specifically for devotees. We have made features in the app which all of you will find very useful. And we are constantly developing it, constantly making it, improving it. So please get this system. It's distraction free. There are no ads. And of course, it's free of cost. And it will really help you. Hare Krishna.
And how are you going to do it? Okay, set the card. What I think is the best thing is Sri Krishna Kumar. You can stand in the doorway and just give them out. That way. Give one to one Mataji. You can give to the ladies.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, as all of you know, that Maharaj is here today and tomorrow. This announcement again. Today evening, we have class on the ground light behind the temple. Maharaj will be giving a class in the evening, and then tomorrow morning, also Maharaj is giving Bhagavatam class in the temple here, temple hall. And plus, I'm very happy to announce tomorrow there is also an initiation ceremony at the Attapur temple. And this will be the first initiation ceremony in this temple since the temple has opened. Yes, please. All of you are welcome, and there will be a grand feast for everyone, after every lecture and the feast after initiation tomorrow. Thank you very much. And then tomorrow evening, Maharaj will be giving a class at the Abbot's temple, and then day after tomorrow, Bhagavatam also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The prasadam for all the Matajis and Prabhujis is in the adjacent plot that we have. So kindly proceed for prasadam.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा. सबके लिए प्रसाद. हरे कृष्णा. सब लोग आगे आइए. महाराज जी के द्वारा प्रसाद लीजिए, लड्डू का प्रसाद. उसके बाद ब्रेकफास्ट प्रसादम माताजी और प्रभु जी के लिए बाहर, टेंपल के बाहर नीचे पंडाल एरिया में है. हरे कृष्णा.